So the last midterm election was 2018. That midterm set a record for voter turnout, which is great. But as of today, the early vote this year has far surpassed what we had in 2018. The early vote then was 39 million votes. As of today, we're closer to 43 million votes. So it's a record number of people who have already voted this year. Given those huge early voting numbers, one candidate in one of the most closely watched Senate races in the country sounded the alarm today that the first returns, the initial vote count that will first get reported tomorrow, will likely have a partisan skew that won't reflect the final tally. Democratic U.S. Senate candidate John Fetterman, the lieutenant governor in Pennsylvania, today he sent out basically a warning flare about what to expect tomorrow, why you shouldn't jump to conclusions when you see the first returns. He said, in part, quote, Republicans are already laying the groundwork to potentially spread false conspiracy theories about ballot processing in Pennsylvania. The reality is Pennsylvania law means in-person votes that skew Republican tend to disproportionately be counted and reported before the Democratic-leaning mail-in votes. Ballots cast by mail and early in-person votes can't be counted in Pennsylvania until Election Day, thanks to the Republican-controlled legislature, which he calls an intentional move to help Republicans baselessly sow doubt about the election results when it suits them. He says, quote, we should expect one of the most dramatic shifts in the country from initial Republican support in early results to stronger Democratic gains as more votes are processed. So, Pennsylvania, we are likely to get results quite late. Same goes for Arizona. Same goes for maybe New Hampshire. One other state where things look like they'll be incredibly close and where we almost certainly will not know results tomorrow night is Nevada, where incumbent Democratic Senator Catherine Cortez Masto is in a tough battle for re-election to his second term, as is Democratic Governor Steve Sisolak. Joining us now from the Clark County Elections Department in Las Vegas, Nevada, by far the largest county in the state, is our beloved Jacob Soboroff, MSNBC correspondent. Jacob, it's great to see you. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Rachel. It's great to see you. And you're 100% right. It is not going to be an early night here in Nevada tomorrow night. I've been inside this building, as a matter of fact, over the course of the last couple hours with Joe Gloria, the man in charge of elections here in the largest election jurisdiction in the state. He was kind enough to invite us inside to show us a little bit of the machinery of democracy. They have been doing mail-in voting here and in-person early voting. And unlike you mentioned in Pennsylvania, those votes are actually counted in advance, processed in advance of tomorrow. They won't be tabulated until tomorrow, but they'll be some of the first votes that come out of this building tomorrow night. But he's the one that told me, I have on good authority, I'm not just making this up, that it is not going to be an early night here in Nevada tomorrow night. Inside this building, the vote could go on, the count, I should say, could go on for days and days. He explained to me why. Take a look at what he had to say. So if it's close, there's a chance we might not know the results in Clark County until around 10 days from Election Day.
That's correct, because we have statutory deadlines that we must abide by. We can receive mail ballots up until Saturday. The cure is on Monday. I can't even read a provisional ballot until the secretary sends me a report that could be Tuesday afternoon or Wednesday morning.
So you heard that right. You heard that right. 10 days from Election Day. But Joe Gloria insists that's not because they're slow counters or bad at their job. That's what the law says here. And he, in fact, says that's not a reason for people to doubt the integrity of the vote. On the contrary, people should have great faith in the integrity of the vote here. Don't forget, Adam Laxalt, Senator Cortez Masto's opponent here in Nevada, stood outside this very building the day after Election Day, alleged thousands of illegal votes were cast and counted inside that building. It turned out to be a totally bogus, of course, accusation, including the Republican Secretary of State saying this after an independent investigation. All of that count will go on inside this building. Joe Gloria insists the process they use here, while it might not be fast, is the best process for getting a fair and accurate count so everyone's votes not only are cast but counted inside here, Rachel.
And Jacob, given what we saw there in 2020, given that kind of scene that you just described of what happened in the parking lot outside that building and the kind of wild claims that were made by by Nevada conservatives and Republicans, have they had to make sort of contingency plans for that kind of pressure, that kind of criticism, potentially that kind of physical pressure on their counting site?
Yeah, it was announced today, actually, that the Department of Justice is sending election monitors to 64 different election jurisdictions all across the country to monitor potential federal civil rights violations when it comes to the vote. And I asked Joe Gloria about that as well. And he said, I just want everybody to be clear. It's not because we have had violations, but it's in order to watch and prevent those types of violations from happening. There are other jurisdictions that are not welcoming to the federal, the Department of Justice folks coming in. He says, I welcome them with open arms. There's a lot of security here. You can probably see the police lights flashing on my face. There were not those kind of police presence here 2 years ago when we were here for the presidential election. They have boned up security here for that very reason, Rachel.
Jacob Soboroff, MSNBC correspondent, thank you so much for your time tonight. It's going to be fascinating to watch Nevada tomorrow with all those close races.